The Ryen Russillo Show presented by DraftKings. Chris Long on the show breaking down the trade deadline. He actually went for it. He started doing like trades he wished had happened. I'd click on that. So luckily we have it for you right now. So we talk a bunch of that. I ask about some of the stuff that Buffalo did against Kansas City. He gets into the Josh Allen Mahomes stuff. So Chris Long just crushes it, and we were psyched to have him on in the first week. And we were a little longer on life advice. So there you go, and some more marathon feedback. Don't be discouraged. We get through it rather quickly. NFL fans, what's your favorite touchdown? I was asked this recently, and it actually got me thinking because it's a great week to ask me this kind of question, because if I've said numerous times throughout my career that the 2008 Texas Tech upset of number one Texas is my favorite thing I've ever attended live, then I think that Crabtree touchdown in the right corner is probably in the running. Caleb Williams to Loveland this past week, historically, I don't know if that one's going to hold up the same way. Maybe the 96-yard drive by LSU after a Bama fumble, a 92-yard drive to go up 7-0 in Tuscaloosa in 2019. Because as I've gone to LSU, Alabama almost every year since 2008, that was different. That was different. Being in Bryant-Denny Stadium and being around the LSU staff and the way they came out of the tunnel, I'd never, ever seen them that confident in my entire life. And I had been around, people, not like the team or the coaches, but I think you understand the point. The traveling brigade from Baton Rouge coming in and just kind of the malaise of like, now you're going to play Saban and Bama here. So this is going to be fun. But that 2019 team ultimately winning a national championship, they were really feeling themselves. Remember, Bama drives, they fumble. LSU goes 92 yards the other way. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 3 touchdowns on the day. So that first touchdown, that first 7-0 touchdown in a place where everybody loses all the time is probably one of my personal favorites. I also had a couple of intramurals, undefeated back-to-back seasons, but I don't know that any of those exist on tape. So what's the point? With DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. DraftKings Sportsbook delivers the unmatched intensity of the NFL right to your fingertips. From first touchdown score to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. Here's the best part. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Your team hitting pay dirt pays out to you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Ryen, R-Y-E-N. That's code Ryen, R-Y-E-N, for new customers to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Chill.
By now and get the Russillo hoodie free. Call 1-800.
European theater.
The week is the Oregon Duck.
We need a big push here.
We couldn't start the first week without him. Really excited to have my guy Chris Long, host of the Green Light podcast. That was checking out last night, so make sure you subscribe to that and subscribe to his YouTube page. Awesome breakdowns. It's good to see you, man. How are you?
It's good to see you with a little step and repeat behind you, or whatever that is, a little background, little
You know what's funny?
background.
Yeah, we got a background now. I didn't know what the term step and repeat even meant. So when I had that Kentucky Derby party back in the ESPN days, the wives that were involved in some of the planning were like, "Hey, where's your step and repeat going to be?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I had the concept that it was even a thing. And so they were like, "You need some sort of backdrop so that we can all take pictures." I was like, "Well, there's a horse race, and then there's going to be drinking, and then I'm going to DJ a late set. So like, we have entertainment. We're getting a pony." And they were like looking at me like I was going to be like a wedding planner without flowers, just going like, "How could you possibly not have a step and repeat?" And I was like, "Well, whatever it is, just send me the bill." So we have
Dude, that's what I was going to say to you. I know you haven't been married yourself, but others around you have been, and a lot of the times at those things they have step and repeats. That's the only reason I know.
I didn't know. I didn't know anything about it. And we put some kind of like, it was the vibe that we were looking for, although it's tough to pull off in West Hartford, Connecticut that time of the year. We were trying to go, when you walk into the Soho Miami, especially when it was like really, really cranking. Actually, no.
It's
That's not what
probably
I was
still
looking
it's
for.
probably still cranking.
No, no. You know what I
especially when
meant to
we were
say?
young. Is that what
Yeah,
you
yeah.
say?
It's still cranking. We are
Yeah.
not.
Remember when it was awesome to be there? Yeah, it's probably still fucking awesome.
Right. That is the Vegas rule. Whenever anybody says like Vegas has changed, it's like, well, it may have, but you also changed way more
That's
than
me,
Vegas did.
dude. That's
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I meant the Delano because the
Oh, I
first
love the
time,
Delano.
right, the Delano is the best. I don't know if it still is. It's one of my favorite hangs. We had a really good run there during the Super Bowl, you and I. And I said something to one of your teammates that I probably shouldn't have said, but you laughed. I laughed. He didn't laugh as much.
Who
But what
was
I
it?
love, we're just going to leave it between you and I.
You
I'll
can't
text you.
do that. That's like you're like Jerry Jones. Oh, I've made a trade. I'll tell you tomorrow.
But he did. He made a
I know
huge
he
one.
did. He did.
So, but when you first, I think the first time I ever went in there, and I wasn't wealthy enough to be staying there, but the flowing drapes, just this
Yeah.
idea that this ocean wind was coming in, and then it was like, is that even a wall? Is there any structure? Where are the studs?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's just we want flowing drapes. We almost want it to be make believe. And that first experience with the Delano of that was like, that's amazing. I want that in my house. It doesn't make a ton of sense, but at least for a day we had that. This is why everybody tuned
Well,
in
you
for
can
it.
get that because you get the gentle sea breeze. Me, not so much. I like it better than the fountain blue. Was the teammate that you were referencing Steven Jackson?
No, no, the Steven Jackson Manhattan Beach picture thing was rough for me. I think it backfired because I was sending it only to you, but he
Yeah.
was kind of like, "Are you seriously stopping me for a picture on the street?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, because of C Long." And
And
then
then did he soften up at that point?
he softened a bit, but we have that picture, and I don't think it's not something I would normally do. I don't think he
Okay.
had a blast.
No, he probably didn't. Probably didn't.
Okay, I want to ask you about the trade deadline this way, first and foremost. As a younger guy, right, I would read a lot of sports stuff. I was like, hey, I'm the guy that knows, I'd be at the bar arguing with customers, bartending, being like, now this walk rate's this walk rate's that. And one of the common accepted practices was that the NFL trade deadline's boring because it's just too complicated. Be like, dude, route trees, like, can you imagine? You can't do it. Terminology, systems, and
Hmm.
all this different stuff. And I would repeat it because that's what I had read, and it sounded really smart. And I would just say it for. I think I think the NFL finally, whether it was the activity yesterday, but it's coming around in that maybe it's not impossible for a guy to be playing for a different team mid-season. Maybe tougher on a quarterback, but certainly I think those restrictions were a little overstated historically. Your thoughts?
I think a lot of the time it's about two languages and the terms meaning the same thing. Like but it's about downloading certain terms that are this is like what you did here. I'm sure for receivers it's a lot like that, and for receivers and quarterbacks obviously like it takes time, and maybe that's why we don't see like I don't know. Do we see a ton of blockbuster receiver trades at the deadline? Like that's a tough deal to get on the same page, like late in the down, scramble drill, understanding how to sit in the zone, like what a quarterback wants, especially a veteran quarterback. He has a way of doing things. So I think sometimes that's one of the tougher positions to transition on. But from a standpoint of like, can I download the playbook? A lot of things in the NFL are kind of like same as, same as, same as. For defensive players, grunts like me up front, it's show up, put your hand in the dirt. Like, are we playing over defense? We're playing under. For the most part, it's a lot simpler. And for a guy like Sauce Gardner, who's going to show up in Indy this week and probably play, you've got a guy like Lou Anarumo who has a very complicated and versatile defense, but he's the perfect guy for it. And I'm sure they're going to tailor things to his talents and to wherever he is, especially considering they've been down Ward and that sort of thing. So I just I actually enjoyed this trade deadline because something actually happened. There were some teams that I was like kind of surprised they didn't make a move. But I thought
Like who?
okay, for one, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like I think they could use help at linebacker. I thought Cansey leaving at D tackle with the injury earlier this year was a huge loss. Now, Bowles can dial up pressure and that sort of thing, but I have been concerned, and I guess I'm partial because I put the Bucks in the Super Bowl in the preseason, and so like I'd love for that dart to hit, professionally. But it's one of those things where like I watched the linebackers and David, who's stalwart for a long time there, he's slowing down a bit. His mind knows exactly where he needs to be, but his body doesn't get him there the same way it did a couple years ago. And Dennis is lost in coverage at times. So I would have thought, they could have made a trade. I would have thought one of these teams that needed a guard would go out and get a guard. I thought the Tucker Kraft thing, unfortunately for Green Bay, there wasn't enough time maybe to do your due diligence and say, okay, we're going to spend a mid-round pick on like a David Njoku, but I would have loved to see that. I think it'll help when they get Jaden Reed back. There were plenty of trades that I had, and part of this is like you fall in love with the concept of some of these trades because it works, because we're all playing fantasy football as media members, and we need something to talk about for a month, and then they don't happen, and that's okay. I would have loved to see Zach Sealer get rescued in Miami. So I could go on for days about the trades that I would have made, but I did like the Colts trade. Wasn't as crazy about the Dallas trade. And the receiver trades for me, Seattle aced it, and Jacksonville did what they had to do.
Okay, so let's, the Jacksonville thing, I want to touch on that because it's just what we're looking at receiver wise with the injuries that they have. But again, it's kind of at least speculated at this point. It's not necessarily long term. So maybe we'll get into some of that Jacksonville stuff. But I want to start with
You don't want to talk about Jacoby Myers?
I do actually at one point, because when you look at their depth chart right now, like it was, to your point, it was necessary. Like they had to do something.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there. Do you still keep in touch with him?
I don't. Yeah, I never played with him. Dating myself here.
No, but I just meant like the alumni stuff.
Oh yeah, the alumni. I do. I FaceTime with Jules for like 40 minutes 2 nights ago.
No kidding.
Basically, me and Jules' relationship is now this: like my dad FaceTimes me at work, and Jules is like, he's got to put the phone down towards Jules, and Jules is like just fucking talking shit and berating me. And then he'll call me randomly, and we'll talk for an hour like we're best buddies. So I still talk to Jules a lot. I still talk to Ninko, little bit of Hightower, a little bit of McCourty, a little bit of Brady. I'll DM him every once in a while. He DMs back.
Are you getting Brady on? You going to talk about this dog cloning thing?
I'm waiting. This is the perfect time, dude. This is the perfect time to talk about
This is made for you.
Ryan texted me last night. Cerruti, he's like, hey, what do you want to talk about tomorrow? And I sent him back the Tom Brady dog story. Not into it, dude. I'm anti. Anyways.
I just don't like anything to be. I mean, I hate the Giants Super Bowl losses. I hate the Super Bowl loss that he has. I don't even count that as a loss. You throw for 500
Not for
yards.
him.
Yeah, right.
We didn't win that Super Bowl on defense. People are like, yo, you beat Brady. I'm like, no, I didn't beat Brady.
I seriously would like some sort of petition to be signed so that when he's inducted to the Hall of Fame, is that they don't even count that one as a loss against him in that game. So anytime, even last year when I thought people were a little hard on Brady on the broadcasting thing, and be like, can you let this guy get the reps in? Like, don't expect him to be throwing up 225 10 times year one. Like, let him get the reps in. I think he's been awesome this year. And so when you sent me the dog cloning thing, I was like, I don't want this for my guy. I don't want this for my guy. Even if maybe he's just ahead of us. Maybe he's just smarter than the rest of us.
Is this going to be us in 5-7 years? I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do it. I don't think I'm cloning Tony. There's only one Tony, the Bulldog, dude.
I don't even have a dog to clone.
I know you don't. That's why it's an interesting story for you. I didn't know what your take would be. Man's best friend, a good book, and a boat.
Yeah, not when you look at the accounting part of it. At the end of the year, you start going through the slips. You're like, what is this? Because somebody was on a call the other day. They were like, how is that? Is it that bad? I was like, yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah.
But that's fine. That's all right. I love it. I love
3 hours a week.
Malibu, Mountain Jam, extended cut. People are afraid of Mountain Jam.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's too long, right? And I'm just saying, like, people need to get over
Socially?
their fear. Yeah.
There's a couple of those Allman Brothers songs that, if you put them on the river or on the boat, after about 8 minutes, like people kind of start looking at you like, this is intense.
I remember a road trip with a girl I was dating up to Vermont, and we were going song for song. It'd be like a little bit of this, maybe a little bit of that, a little D'Angelo in the cut.
Yeah.
So
R.I.P., dude.
Yeah, big time.
How does it
R.I.P.
feel? One of the best songs ever.
Yeah, I went to see Freddie Gibbs, and they were coming out with Devil's Pie.
Can you stop with this Freddie Gibbs stuff, bro? You're making me so pissed off. I'm a big Freddie Gibbs fan, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'm with Freddie. I'm with Freddie. I'm just with Freddie tonight, just hanging out.
This one feels real, too.
He's the man, isn't he?
Yeah, he treated me great, man. Like you know the difference between like you had this sort of encounter with a guy and then you kind of come into his world and then it's
Yeah,
immediately when they're like you're like, "Oh, okay, that was simply the encounter and
yeah.
I'm overestimating the connection here." And instead, Freddie was the other way, brought me right into the dressing room. And then I was posted up the whole time. I mean, it was tough for a Monday. I was like, this cannot go deep.
You gotta go see Freddie on a Monday. I just remember him coming on the show and being so fucking down to earth and cool. And the fact that he played football at Bowling Green, there's an athlete in there somewhere. And so that to me was like where the cool factor came from. But he came on the show and I had been waiting like intently to get Freddie Gibbs on the show. And we booked him somehow. And I'm sitting there waiting on the Zoom. He's a little bit late, and all of a sudden I'm like, here we got Freddie. And you know that moment where you're like, what's the shot gonna look like? Like what's the background gonna be? He's gonna be on his phone. He's on his fucking phone in the car. And I'm like, damn, this is gonna suck, dude. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm at the airport picking up my mama, and she gets in the car, and I'm interviewing him and his mom, dude, and it couldn't have gone better. Shout out to Freddie Gibbs. Thanks for being friends with my buddy Ryan.
I was so excited about it. Like then I saw the Red Rock show and I went, I should have just gone to Colorado for
Yeah.
Halloween night just
Oh,
to
that would have been
go.
sick.
Right. He comes out as Frozone and he's just good. He's just so good. I gotta hook you up. I'll see if I can talk to
He's a
the
throwback.
guys
He's a
and get you
throwback.
the Alfredo hoodie, double XL. All right. I'll
Okay,
get
I
on
got
that.
I got some results on the Micah Parsons splits. When we get there, we can talk about it. But let's get into the trades, shall we? We're doing the thing.
All right. Well, no, I love the Bucks Super Bowl pick. I hope people like this. I'm having fun. But when I was talking to Rossini about this yesterday, she was just like, do you look at the Colt? And I was like, the Colts problem is that I'm going to have the same hesitation that everybody else does. Is be like, is this actually real? Like, they're going to be in the playoffs. Like, am I going to pick them against Buffalo? No. Kansas City is probably going to find a way back into this. I'm not going to pick them against them. I think this Baltimore schedule kind of sets up for like they could go on some kind of run and be like, hey, they're not a great seed, but they're back in this thing. When you look through all the top seeds of the AFC, um, I could throw some Steelers thing at you where they were split safety alignment, like season high against them, and they barely play it at all. Is that something that happened with them? Give me the football players' take of like the 25 Colts now with sauce of like what you actually think they're capable of.
Well, I think number one, it's a deal you make when you look at the guys they have under contract over the next couple of years. Like the window's open, right? Like this is as a player, the player in me is always I want to make a move and I want to cover a deficiency. I personally, I'm not like a fuck them picks guy. But I do see the challenges of drafting, especially late in the first round. And there have been some good corners taken late in the first round, right? But it is hit or miss. And what you're getting is a former All Pro guy who I believe is going to be a perfect fit for Lou Anarumo. You bookend him with Charvarius Ward, who's also a big physical corner. You're going to have to play man to beat the elite teams in the AFC. You saw what Buffalo did in the first half the other day. They manned Mahomes up, and it worked. Now they have a tackle issue there, and the rushing coverage are kind of they're out of whack. The protection and the routes for Kansas City are out of whack. But you're going to have to man up Buffalo. You shouldn't be afraid of the guys they have outside. You got to be careful about Josh Allen's legs when you play man. But I think this gives them flexibility to do whatever they want. And you can manufacture coverage. You cannot, or you can manufacture rush, you cannot manufacture coverage. So like I look at this group and I see really good tackles inside. I love Grover and Buckner. Those guys are studs. I look at the edges and I see some pretty good players. I think Latu is going to start going off because he's a very good handsy rusher. He's a good like counter rusher, but he's like kind of like me where he's going to get a ton of pressures, but maybe he doesn't have elite athleticism. So, like these pressures now turn into sacks. And so I like the move on like 3, 4 different levels. And yeah, like the first thing you do this offseason would be to, find that second corner, right? Like you look at the holes on this team, there aren't many. Offensively, they're fantastic up front. I think they had some leaky issues at guard at the non-Quentin Nelson spot inside last week. And they can beat you when you play man. They can run the football on you. The game script got away from them last week. And I also think Pittsburgh playing Jalen Ramsey at safety was a good move. We'll see if that continues on the Pittsburgh end of things. I don't know if you noticed this, but when you watch Ramsey play, I think the best thing he does at this age, at this stage in his career, and he's always been great at it, is top down plays, like breaking downhill, diagnosing, somebody dropping into a spot or a crosser or like a screen pass and blowing guys the fuck up. That's the vantage point he has at safety. And it was a perfect game plan for that game. 6 turnovers is not sustainable. Indy's not in trouble. They're a contender. This is the move you make when you want to get better and cash in on a window.
Yeah, Ramsey lined up at safety 84% of snaps in that game, and I can still think of him just decleating Wilson at the end of that week
Yeah.
one game. I
Yeah.
mean, exactly to your point, come down, make the play.
That's what he does.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of love Pittsburgh. I feel like that's such a Pittsburgh thing to go, okay, fine. Like you're not this guy on the outside anymore, but like I love just all pro corners extending it and becoming like a different player at safety. And I feel like it doesn't happen as much as it used to, or maybe I'm just.
Well, I don't know. Like I haven't kept the tally, but like there's always
Yeah.
that thing when, Martellus Bennett used to joke about like I'm going to put a 70s number on and finish my career as a tackle. Like the big tight ends that say they do that sort of thing, or guys that late in their career just shift positions of responsibility because of athletic deficiencies. Man, like I don't know honestly if this sticks or if it's something they do down the road, but I really like it. They need the edges to play really well in that defense, and those guys stood up and played really well. I also think they match up well against Indy. I'm not exactly a buyer in Pittsburgh because they got to force so many turnovers to damn win, right? But I think they actually match up well against Indy. Like they have big physical guys on the back end. They get Ramsey for Warren. They have edges that can make plays, and they got fast linebackers, which you need playing Indy.
Probably just thinking about Rod Woodson a lot too, as I'm thinking about Jalen Ramsey.
Maybe so.
All right, that was a lot of good stuff. Let's talk Green Bay because I watched them, as I mentioned on Monday, I watched them with like one thought. Can this team win the Super Bowl? Is it going to look like that team at the beginning of the season where it's like, man, you guys just beat the shit out of a really good Detroit team? They put together this really good offense. They were the 1 seed on Sunday morning, right? They lose to the Panthers, who are a lot better than people realize, certainly defensively. I know there's all sorts of guys on the Panthers side of the ball, but you were going through on your podcast like a lot of stuff with the Packers that isn't about personnel. It's not about concerns about the pass rush. It was just a lot of really good stuff on just who you think the Packers are that frustrates you.
Yeah, I get frustrated with their offense. Like, listen, at the end of the day, they didn't come up with a bunch of sacks Sunday. I thought, Bryce got the ball out of his hands. I also think like Aquanu, not taking anything away from him, he played really well against Micah Parsons. Like sometimes the matchup just doesn't work out and you don't get enough reps as a rusher. He made that point after the game, right?
Yeah, can you hammer that point after the game because he had 0 pressures in like 21 dropbacks or
Yeah.
but he had a point and then you hit like just share that with us because I think it's really important because it can get lost. It's like, oh, Micah didn't do anything and you're like, well,
yeah, it totally gets lost. I mean, it's the same thing where the week leading up to him having 3 or 4 sacks against Arizona and basically winning them the game. People are talking about what a whiff this trade has been. He hasn't had a sack since, whatever. But when you watch them play, he affects the game in so many different ways. It's like people talking about Jalen Carter in Philly, who did not play his best early in the season, but every time there was a pick, every time somebody had a sack on like a TE game or a twist, he's the penetrator. He's the guy that's getting the slide. So you affect the game in that way, but also teams set the table to control the clock, which Carolina did running the football, right? And they've been a good running football team. So they're controlling the clock. They're slowing rushers down doing that. And, Micah Parsons is not in on just third downs. Like he's going to be in on some first and second downs. And when you play a team that's getting the ball in their hands and running the football, you're not in pin your ears back mode every time. And then when you're in pin your ears back mode, you might get the slide, you might get a chip. It's kind of a mystery deal, and it could be under 2 seconds out of his hands. So I thought Carolina did a very good job. I don't want to take away from them. My worry about Green Bay is the offense. Now, Tucker Kraft being down is a big deal, right? I thought Jaden Reed was a huge deal, and I kind of picked up on a pattern with them where they kind of play slow at home and they play down to opponents, especially early in games. And I don't know if it's a thing where they come into games and say, they're top 5 in the league in yards per play. Why aren't you running more plays? Why aren't you trying to run more plays than an inferior opponent? And to me, when you go out and you go on an 8 minute drive that culminates in Savion Williams fumbling in the flat, like it's a perfect encapsulation of who they are, which is they're a young team. They're not always great on details, and they play slow at times and they play conservative at times. They run a lot on first down. And what happens is, and the protection is not has not always been great on like Sunday, second down, they gave up a ton of pressures. When you don't do anything on a first down and then you shit the bed on second down, then the warts come out, man, and they end up in those situations a lot. And when you go on long drives, that one mistake that if you're going three downs at a time, that one mistake can really screw you. So I'd love to see them play faster. I'd love to see them getting some lighter personnel and pass the football. You know, if this guy is who we think he is or who they say he is, you made the trade for Micah Parsons. You think you win the fucking Super Bowl. That says something about your quarterback. Give him the keys to the car a little bit. And I know Jacobs is a beast, but this is a better pass protecting group than it is a run blocking group. And I know they need the run game, but I'd like to see them speed up a little bit. And when you're playing an inferior opponent, put the knife to their throat, man. You know, like early in the game, you know, make them play on a razor's edge. You played into Carolina's game plan, and you play with fire against Cleveland as well. And that's what happens at home. It seems like they sleepwalk early in these games.
There's a lot of games like in college football, be like, okay, what did this game mean? What did this outcome mean week two? And like, how is it different? And, you know, if I look at Detroit,
I
Jalen
want
Rush
to
stats,
I want to point some out. I'm not saying Cleveland was at home, but a lot of these games at home they end up sleepwalking. Go ahead, Ryan.
yeah, no, that's the Stefanski thing where it's like, hey, huge underdog at home. It's like, okay, no problem. Like, I'll take care of it. Like,
Yeah,
if Cleveland could just play the best teams in the league at home, they might go 500.
no, you know what? Cleveland's got a nice, like a sneaky nice roster with a lot of good young players. They're drafting well. They just haven't figured the quarterback thing out.
Yeah. Detroit, here's a layman's approach at this. I mean, number 9 in offensive yards per play. I think they're number 8 in defensive opponents' yards per play. You know, they're number 2 in scoring behind the Colts, the whole thing. But are they matchup? Are they more matchup reliant than the other Super Bowl contenders?
I think they have issues that they're not used to having, right? Like the interior three for them has been fine, right? But not dominant. Not like, you know, last year's offensive line. It's okay to acknowledge that they're not as good, you know, this year as they were last year. I just don't, I see them as an elite NFC team. I love the Lions. But I don't think they're as talented as they were last year. I just don't. And, you know, Mahogany left on a cart the other day. Honestly, I'm at the point in the week where I haven't gone back and checked on, you know, the aftermath on the injuries and whatnot. So I don't know what's going on with the injuries they have up front. I love Ratledge. I think he's a heck of a player. Glasgow is not what Ragnow was. And I think that the concerning thing for me is that's a team in the division that might have gained a little ground on you. You know, and I think maybe it's a subtle scheme thing where, you know, the Ben Johnson effect. Early in the season, they lose to the Packers and they hop back on and they beat the shit out of the Ravens and that sort of thing. And we're kind of like, yeah, it wasn't the scheme, it was the players. And I think that's true to a degree, but you see what Ben's doing in Chicago. And I kind of wonder if part of it is when you look at B Flow on Sunday, it's like you have a little edge there from a schematic standpoint in Minnesota where B Flow's like he's working against a new coordinator. And if you can't run the football, it really does make them play left-handed. And B Flow hit the nail on the head with the game plan. A lot of cross dogs, a lot of A gap blitzes. Jameer Gibbs gave up like 7 pressures. So if you can get them behind the sticks and their first down efficiency is shitty, like they're just not the machine that they were last year. I also think the obvious thing is like they got to play, they decide to play so much man coverage, and they've got a lot of guys who are competitive as fuck. And, you know, they play Tampa and they man up all game, and Baker plays the worst game of his life. And people are like, yeah, they did it again. They did it to Sam Darnold last year, who had no offensive line in that game, right? At the end of the season, we're going to blitz the fuck out of him with a bunch of guys that don't play a lot on the back end. Then they play JJ, who honestly just put the ball in the area of his receivers and hit a lot of outcuts and, you know, beat man coverage. You know, with 3rd and 5 with the game on the line, he beat man coverage. So that'll happen. You know, Detroit's going to get in some matchups where you might have good interior pressure. or guys that can manufacture pressure the way B-Flow does. And another thing about Minnesota is this, Ryan. Andrew Van Ginkel is one of the most important underrated players to his defense in the league. Like as far as MVPs on his own defense, when he comes back in the football game, how much thicker do you think the playbook is for B Flow with him relative to Dallas Turner? And I'm not saying Dallas Turner is not going to be a good player, but Van Ginkel's a Swiss Army knife, and you see the way they shut down the screen game, the whole deal. So I'm not calling Detroit like paper lions. I'm not calling them like, fakes. I'm just saying they just might not be as dominant as they were the last couple years.
You said something that I always want to learn more about, and that's manufacturing pressure. You said it earlier in this is like you can manufacture pressure. You can't necessarily manufacture coverage. And I think it's a really astute point. But like, what is it about Flores? What do you see over the course of like, I don't know if it happens to you halfway through the game, at the end of the game or whatever, where it's like, man, he is like on one right now as far as play calling.
Well, I think he's consistently aggressive. So you come into the game plan bracing, right? Like you're like in a mindset of like, here he comes again, here he comes again. And I don't even think they blitzed more than their average Sunday, but it was the timing of the blitzes and it was the personnel specific people that he's going to attack. And I think Sunday, and not to mention the fronts and coverages, the coverages that he plays behind certain fronts are like, people have talked about this before he got in the league. You'd only see it like in college. Like he does a lot of very creative things. He has very versatile, smart players. Like from a personnel standpoint, like I don't know if Minnesota's drafted that well generally, but one thing they've done really well is like they bring in John Grenard, they bring in Van Ginkel, they get Cashman from Houston. There's a host of other guys that they brought in on defense, but like they're smart players and they can do versatile things. Like Josh Metellus is a perfect example of that. So it's the type of guy that he wants that can, I played in New England's defense. B-Flow was there. B-Flow is a great coach. He's a tough coach. There's also a lot that goes on at the line of scrimmage and a lot of late pre-snap checks. You got to have smart players. You got to have versatile players and game plan specific shit. For him is Sunday was to attack the middle of that offensive line. And I thought Wilson had a tremendous game, 55, dude. He played his ass off. But he's a perfect example of a guy they bring in. And they're like, he's got something left in the tank and he's a smart player. He can play in this defense.
The edge stuff for Philadelphia. Nolan Smith looks like he could be coming back. By the way, Mahogany, it's suggested that he could come back in December, but he's going to be out a decent amount of time.
It's a tough one.
Right. So they make the trade for Jalen Phillips. He's a name. He's a first-round pick. When he was healthy, he's good in Miami. It was actually kind of one of those things a couple of weeks ago where I was sort of making fun of the NFL like rumor mill. It's like Jalen Phillips, like this is the best we can do, and then we get an absolute blockbuster of a day with the trade deadline yesterday. But I give Howie credit for being like, okay, this is something that he's invested in. And maybe we're losing track of like, look, it's the tackles from Georgia that he's really loaded up here. And he grabs Campbell. They've done an unbelievable job with Zach Bond. But are you surprised, or maybe are we missing the point of like, doesn't it feel like they put resources in this? Now they have to flip a mid-round pick here for Phillips, who just, the high end of it is enticing, but it's far from a certainty with his history.
Well, you're getting picks for guys that left in free agency. So like it's nothing like the NBA where I don't know the second apron and all this shit, but I'm starting to learn the business of the NFL, like, going from being a grunt to a media member. And the comp pick thing's very interesting. And those guys that they lost in free agency last year, Josh Sweat included in that, there were, they didn't replace them. And so now they have comp picks lined up. So I think like they're not hurting for picks. They're not hurting for capital. They too believe that the window's open. They would like to repeat. It's the hardest thing in sports is repeating in the NFL, in my opinion. And, so that they're seeing this window open. Why not spend a 3 on Jalen Phillips, who I think, if he's not hurt, is one of the second tier rushers in the NFL. And by second tier, I mean like if there's a blue chip and whatever the next chip is, that's him. I think he's got that kind of potential in his body, and I love his game. He's just been hurt a lot. And so he's a personal favorite of mine. So that kind of helps. I thought probably it'd be more like a 4. I think 3 is a little rich considering his injury history. But when you have a ton of picks and you have picks coming down the pipe as well, you make the pick, and they do need pass rush. They've kind of through Michael Carter more so than Jair Alexander, who I think is just like a dart. They're throwing a dart there. Carter, hopefully, you can play him in the slot. You bank on him having been out of position and injured, and playing better, and then maybe you move DeJean outside, because if they keep trotting out any number of these second corners, and maybe they think Jair Alexander can be the second corner. I don't know if he can.
I know that felt like a reach a little bit, just because a lot of the stuff from Baltimore I didn't necessarily like. And here's a Baltimore defense that can't put 11 healthy guys out there at all, and they were like, "We're fine."
But they're also, I would argue that Baltimore's had a scheme issue for the better part of 2 years. And, now they're fixing it in Baltimore. It's funny. Last year, they fixed it by moving Kyle Hamilton to safety. This year,
He's
they
not even
fixed
playing
it,
safety now.
put him in the box. And we called for it on Greenlight, dude. Like, I was like, just fucking put your best player around the football. And I don't know how sound this is, but like, tell him do whatever the fuck he wants. Like, and he's that good of a football player, dude. I was looking at DPOY odds last night, and it's kind of a funny year for that. But I looked at his odds, and I'm like, these should be a lot shorter. I know Baltimore sucks defensively, but watch them turn it around. He would be the catalyst 2 years in a row. I don't know how we got on Kyle Hamilton.
Um, no, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to come up. I mean, Google's just on it drives me fucking crazy.
Google's having a bad day.
It's had a bad year.
What do
It's had a
you
bad
want me
year.
to on Google right now for you as you host the
No,
show?
to emphasize the Kyle Hamilton shift of where he's lining up on snap counts, because I was watching one of their games recently and I was shocked at how overwhelming it was. That it was like, hey, he's playing a little safety, he's playing a little nickel, but primarily like he's lining up at edge, he's lining up at linebacker. I know what you could say are all kind of baked into the same thing, but it was, as much as it felt like there was a shift for where they were lining him up, the numbers were even more like
Oh, it's
numbers are
even
the
more. Yeah,
numbers.
yeah,
Yeah.
backs it up even more. I mean, like he's great. You saw him. I saw him a week ago, like come from off the ball and pick a guard, like kind of like he's a backer. Remember on the Caleb Williams grounding? I don't know if you saw that, but like he comes from depth and picks an offensive guard, which is usually a job that's reserved for big guys. And then the acceleration he showed to get to the passer was like insane. You're just not used to seeing it. Somebody could do both those things: pick a guard and then accelerate. It just looked fake, dude. He looked computer generated. He's one of the best defensive players in the game every year.
I met him at your place at the New Orleans hang Super Bowl week. He
What a
was
nice
an
guy.
impressive guy.
What a nice guy. Not very nice
Yeah.
on the field. I love that.
Yeah. You wouldn't think. You'd be like, this guy's one of the biggest badasses out there. Can I just
Axe
ask
murderer.
you a lane containment question? Not about Lane Johnson when he comes to
Yeah,
vacation with
it's
you.
hard
I
to
mean,
contain him.
yeah, there is no containing vacation Lane Johnson. But I want I want a better understanding, because, like, as we know, if you're playing man, then you've got to worry about the quarterback rushing, right? Um, what I saw Buffalo do, and granted, the Hoyt injuries, you're going to change the calculation a little bit because I thought he played so well in that game. But I'm watching what they're doing. They're dropping into coverage. They're not blitzing. I don't think the overall blitz numbers from Buffalo against Mahomes, because like part of it's like you can't blitz. The best quarterbacks, I've always felt like, if you want to live with the blitz against the best quarterbacks, they're going to be so psyched you keep doing it, because eventually they're just going to burn you. So they're actually getting a ton of pressure on Mahomes, but I don't know that it was just overwhelming numbers that they were sending at him. So they did this unbelievable combination of great pressure rate against Mahomes, and yet also maintaining this lane integrity of not letting him escape out on that 3rd and 7 that's annoyed every other fan base in the NFL the last 5 or 6 years, where it's like he's not the fastest guy, but 3rd and 7 when it breaks down, he escapes, he runs out to the sideline, he holds the ball up, first down, move the chains, and this is why this guy is the best. How is Buffalo able to do kind of both of those things, which seems impossible against him?
Well, you talk about the pressure rate, 52.6% of their dropbacks, this is the part that is encouraging if you're a Bills fan, plus 14.3% higher than the pressure rate in any of their other 9 matchups. So,
Right.
and I thought coming into the season, and I still think the Chiefs offense could be as scary as any offense that they've engineered post Tyreek Hill. for the very reason of Josh Simmons. And if he gets back in town, he was on the first thing smoking, they're going to be a lot better because they had a tackle problem Sunday. I mean, they still have a right tackle problem no matter who plays there. I just always believe that. But the guy they've had in left tackle has given up some pressure. And he said coming to the game, the way that Buffalo could wreck this game is dominate those tackles. Well, they also played pretty well in coverage. I thought Cole Bishop taking a big step
Big time.
and playing his best game. You got to realize, like, a game between these two teams, all it takes is a couple stops. Even in a 28-21 ball game, which for a long time is an under, and you feel like, oh, the scoring's not there. Like, it just takes the possessions are so important because these offenses are so good. And for me, what I was so impressed with, and McDermott has taken over play calling, the last couple of weeks, and it shows. I thought Cole Bishop playing big on third and then fourth down, running with the motion on third down, making a play at the end of the first half. And then on fourth down, sitting in zone off a film study. He saw that same concept in the Chargers game, week 1, making a play before the half. The next time Kansas City gets the ball back, they're down 11, two possession game. They drive into the low red, and the defense stands up, including in that goal line stand is Cole Bishop taking the ball off Kelsey. I mean, the ball is kind of on him, but he just blows up Kelsey, arm, torso, the whole thing. Then you come out of the half, and he makes a big play on third down to start the third quarter. Just one guy. I mean, if you ask Bills fans, like, at the trade deadline, where do we need to get better? Like, safety's high on the list. Hopefully, this kid continues to play well. I thought they came out early. I know they came out early and played more man than people expected. So maybe that was a curveball. I also think the hope for Buffalo is that in matchup 2, this Maxwell Harrison kid, who I saw run with Worthy on a go route, and that was very encouraging. Forget the pick. I think if he's in a place where it's him and Benford and the safeties are playing better, and the big if is always health with Buffalo, they finished that game last year with Kyer Elam playing corner. That's why they lost that game. So when we do the thing every year where we're like, well, Josh can't beat Mahomes, I'm with you. He's got to beat Mahomes. But Kyer Elam and the fucking defense, if you look at the splits between the defense, the way they play in the regular season, the way they play in the postseason against this Chiefs offense, it's easy to see. The Bills offense, the output increases in the playoffs. So the defense needs to stay a step ahead of Andy Reid, and they did that on Sunday, but can they do that in matchup 2 when Reid has the tackle back? Hopefully the Bills they're up a corner, and the safety's a totally different player than last year. Those would be big deals. Hoyt would have been big for them down the stretch, but you bring Bosa in for this mercenary type shit. It doesn't matter what he's doing any other week. How does he play in the Chiefs game? He was fantastic this Sunday, and I thought Epinesa and Russo were very good. I thought they would make a trade at the deadline for Malik Collins from the Browns. I would have done that in a heartbeat. They had the space for it. They must think their young draft picks are going to be able to develop, or Ogunjobi is going to be able to help. But I'm encouraged by that performance. I really am, and I know it happens every year, but because of the thing you brought up, the pressure rate, which, of course, could be better for the Chiefs if they get Simmons back. But I thought it was an encouraging win. I just think Josh Allen's the best quarterback on the planet right now. And that shouldn't be like something I have to whisper. Mahomes,
I'd like you to whisper it.
Josh Allen's the best quarterback on the planet right now. I'm not saying now you got your Boston contingency. They're going to tell you it's Drake May. I want to see more, just like with anybody. I think the kid's amazing.
I'm not sitting here arguing Drake May. I just feel like the Mahomes belt is an unchallengeable one.
No, it isn't
what the stats
unchallengeable.
are.
It is unchallengeable. It's unchallengeable for a standpoint that he's the greatest quarterback of our generation. He is the most accomplished quarterback of our generation. But if you woke up from a coma 3 years ago and you just started watching football, you would probably say that Josh is the best quarterback on the planet. And I don't know why people are so afraid to say that just because he hasn't beaten him in the playoffs when we outlined all the reasons that they haven't beaten him. It's the right. How many points, and I said this on Inside the NFL with Ryan Clark, my other Ryan, Rye with the A, how many points would Josh Allen score in his own defense?
Yeah, I mean, he'd have 31. I mean, I just penciled
31, it'd be 40. So it customarily.
Is that the non-player in me?
I don't know. What I'm saying is, yeah, no, that's a good one. What I'm saying is, no, you got better hair than Schrager.
I don't think Schrager's got some size to him. Can you come on? Can you promise to come on once we see where UVA is in the committee rankings? We get a little bit closer to this thing because I got to wrap up.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm not saying that Josh is more accomplished. I'm saying that right now, when you watch football, who's playing the best quarterback on the planet at their best?
I'd like to see the tackle situation get worked out for Mahomes before I'm ready to give the bill to Allen. But dude, this is unbelievable.
Bro, he's throwing the ball to Tyrell Shavers and
What
guys.
about
like
Moore?
that.
Moore's out there getting a little separation.
Yeah, it's not good when Steve Smith's talking about you as a receiver and their second year guy, what's his name? Fucking number zero.
Keon Coleman.
Yeah. He can't separate. Luckily, they get the tight ends. And another thing is, last thing, I'm leaving. Kansas City's not going to be able to cover those tight ends. That's the one thing they can't fix, Ryan. That Reed left and he went to New Orleans. How do they cover those tight ends? In the second matchup, they need an answer for that.
That is Chris Long. He is the man. Check out the Greenlight Podcast and the YouTube page. What is the title?
I think it's Greenlight Podcast. I don't know. Evidently, a lot of people can't find it, but yeah, maybe maybe
let's get those subs up. Let's get those subs up. I'm gonna make it my homepage. Thanks, man.
Love you, dude. Congrats on the new gig. See ya.
You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
Life advice. The email address is lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. Cerruti and Kyle are with us. We got a new backdrop for Kyle, so I feel like it needs to be addressed just a little bit. What are we talking about here?
I did the wood paneling for you. I'm just kind of, a man on a mission, just wandering the earth looking for the right place to do this. And I might be in a different spot on Monday.
That's a different wood paneling spot, though, right?
Yeah, I think different parts of the same room has been updated at different times, and we've just kind of, I'm in a wood burning stove kind of house right now. The furnace is a backup, so that's been fun, making sure we keep that going. Forgot to open the flue yesterday. Got motherfucked a little bit, but I'm just learning how to be back here.
This is a dumb question, but like, what you gotta like feed that thing with coal and fire?
And with wood? No, with wood, and bring it in from outside and stage it, and then you gotta make sure you open the flue just enough, otherwise the smoke will fill the house in like 2 seconds, and then I start hearing footsteps, and I'm like, fuck, I just want to crawl into a hole and die. Didn't mean to do that, but it's okay.
Welcome back to the Northeast,
Yeah. I'm figuring it out. I wouldn't trade it for anything, guys.
I always thought Cord would be a good name for a boy.
It's a great name. Cord Jefferson.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a
Oscar
guy.
winner.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like if your name's Cord, you have to be like kind of famous, though.
I liked his movie too. I wasn't just acknowledging Cord winning. I watched that on a flight, and I was like, you know what? Good job. Yeah, I think you're right, Cerruti. I don't know if it's fame, but I just don't know that you can be from like Westport and be named Cord. Although actually Westport.
Wow, I was going to say that definitely.
Yeah.
I think,
but you
understand. Fine.
You understand what I'm saying? Like maybe an Upper East Side kid, which good luck reining that in. But I Cord feels like a better fit in Montana.
Yeah,
totally.
Like if I met a kid from Montana named Cord, I'd be like, damn it, you're probably awesome. Okay.
What's your middle name? I don't even want to know. It's probably way better than that.
He doesn't even have one. Because Cord is so strong, didn't need it.
Doesn't even have a last name. Yeah, it's just Cord.
Just a million follow-ups on marathoning.
Damn, I knew it.
Yeah.
Runners man.
I guess if it's ever getting slow, we know how to drum up a response.
Anyone can literally
say anything.
On Monday, we're going to do Pete Rose. Should he be in the Hall of Fame now? Marathon girlfriend, why can't she run faster? I thought the guy was just being a dick when he sent this in, but he was actually sort of earnest about the whole thing. if the girlfriend has already run multiple marathons and he never has, chances are she's got a big advantage on him from the start. Why does she have to take 5 hours? If they train together and his goal is to do better than that, she should have no problem keeping up. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like there's maybe a
Little
yeah,
murky chapter
yeah.
we could open here if we really
I'm not
wanted.
gonna dip
but
my
I'm
toes
not
into
gonna
those
say
waters.
anything about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, is he trying to be a dick with that? Like, why can't she run faster if she's the one that's training the whole time? Like, some people have different limitations of whatever. Like, you can't just sit there and say, hey, you should lift more because you've been lifting longer. That doesn't really work out. Let's see. Some people thought we missed the mark on this. Oh, yeah, here we go. Usually you guys give out sound advice, but in the case of the girlfriend wanting the guy to run a marathon at her pace, you guys really flush the mouse. You ever heard that one before?
Nope. Take a
I
look.
like it.
You can start using that. See if you can
I
use
like
that this
it.
week. Get back
Yeah.
to us.
I'm going to my buddy's son's freshman football game today. Maybe I'll see if I could like work that in the stands. There'll probably be no one there, but
What do you got? This is going to be a
Confusing.
foreign thing. It's got to be overseas.
Flush the mouse is to take a rash action viewed in hindsight is stupid. Tony really flushed the mouse when he picked Kentucky to win the NCAA tournament. This is from Urban Dictionary.
it's probably from some like fable or something, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
probably actually not. It'd be a weird storybook, I guess, if there's a mouse getting flushed. But
Yeah, but who knows, man? Fables, those things go hard.
yeah, those Grimm
Yeah.
the Brothers Grimm, it's a lot worse than you think than the movies you've seen.
Mm.
Anyway,
She invited him because she wanted to do a couple thing, yet he wants to turn it into an egotistical thing, and you are all behind it. If he wants to go all out, just run another one with her. It's easy. There are marathons all over the fucking place. Damn, Ryan.
There are.
No
That's
wonder. No wonder you're still single.
It's definitely not a shortage of marathons. I'll say that.
I guess to this flush the mouse guy, I would say like this isn't apple picking. It's not like you just suffer through it. It's 5 hours of this, and if he wants to do it his way, I think that's okay to try to find a way. It's not you're not suffering through a bad rom com that you're just like you want to get points for doing something nice. This is like a big deal, kind of. I think.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a months of commitment. You're gonna have to train to get to a certain level, and you might as well try to get to your peak level.
We're not adding crate and barrel to the Sunday rundown
Yeah.
here. This is
Yeah.
this is a whole day.
I'm with you guys on that one. All right. Okay.
All right.
Let's get to a couple of emails here. An NBA note-taking question. We've never had one of these before. Jerry Lundegaard. My wife wants to know about the legal pads. 58168. Player comp Ray Allen in Miami during Rec League 06. Paul Pierce in pickup. Oh, okay. So you understand your role in organized basketball, but in pickup, you're just game. Got it. Ryan, love the show. I've always admired how detailed your NBA breakdowns are, especially when it sounds like you've caught every nuance of the game. I'm trying to get better at taking notes while I watch, but I'm curious how you actually structure yours. Do you use multiple legal pads for different aspects like team flow, player notes, random thoughts? And on a related note, my wife wants to know where you keep all those old pads because my desk is starting to look like an evidence board. My first question to you is, why are you taking notes? I in a way, I love it. Like I used to take notes for Sunday Night Baseball with the old, I don't know if it was Stats Inc. They would come out with these scouting report books. And as soon as it would come out, I'd be like at Borders going, has it come out yet? Has it come out yet? I'd be like, oh, here's the 1998. This is kind of when I had this pivot in my head of like what I was excited about. I also had nothing else going on. So I would sit and read the scouting reports and then like take notes while I was watching Sunday Night Baseball. That is years before I even had a job. I mean, it's kind of insane behavior.
Don't you feel like that guy's come back into being cool? It's like so niche now if you're taking stats when it's just a click away that it's like, dude, look at it. This guy's like a superhero.
You've been talking about like just like going analog on everything.
Yeah, like you see a guy out there in the stands like filling out the card when he's up there, and then you
Keeping
I feel
score.
like that's
I
come
love
back
keep-
around.
yeah.
That's come back around to like cool again.
Maybe. I don't know. But this is different.
Maybe an
Like,
ironic way.
I'm taking notes because it's my job. And it's
Yes.
also a better way for me to be able to watch because, again, I'm not asking anyone to be like, oh, you poor guy. But when you watch as much as those of us that watch have to watch, Like you can kind of, it's almost like driving a car when you don't realize it, like, hey, I haven't paid attention for 20 minutes. I've just been, my
That's
brain
kinda
is
weird,
kicked
isn't
into
it?
autopilot. Yeah, right. Like the last 20 minutes, I don't even know what happened, but you're just sort of locked in. And when you're watching sports constantly, you can have those moments. And then I'll realize, like, you didn't really pay attention the way you need to pay attention to. And so I know if I stay on note taking, that it just keeps me more engaged with it. I don't know. This just sounds like, if there's one thing I've definitely learned, is no one gives a fuck about the notes. No one wants to hear about it. Nobody wants to hear about how much I watch. Like I actually get shit on more for being like, yeah, I watch all this stuff. So the note taking, I usually look at substitution patterns. I usually try to figure out who's attacking who. I'll try to see, like, when Cooper Flag had a game recently, he was pretty good last night or on Wednesday night, but he had some matchups where I thought he could have attacked more, but he was apprehensive. And it's just something I noted down. It was like, okay, well, look for this in the second half. If he's getting a switch into somebody that should have had no business because of size and lack of athleticism staying in front of him, like, why is he, like, this is his possession. He needs to attack, and he wasn't attacking. I thought he attacked a lot more against the Pelicans. So that would be something I would write down and be like, hey, Cooper looks like he has the matchup and he's not going for it. And then a big thing for me is I'll pay attention to closing groups, because I think that's really what the team wants to be in those last 5 minutes of a close game. And then, yeah, on the right side, I mean, I can't believe I'm doing this, but like in the right side, I'll be thinking about topics. So there'll be like a section where it's like topics, and I just kind of like rapid fire throughout the night, whether it's a Saturday or a Sunday or basketball at night. I'll be thinking about different ideas that I think could be decent segments. And it's funny because it's a lot like writing. I'll think something is terrific, and then I'll review what I went through the night before. I'm like, why did you think that had any, like, that's an awful idea for a segment or a topic or whatsoever.
No bad
Sometimes,
ideas.
yeah, so, right. But then sometimes you wake up and you're like, okay, this is good. And then I'll just kind of go through it all again. With football, it's a little different because I'm not like sitting there going, oh, it's 12 personnel. Oh, it's 21. Oh, it's 3 left. It's all of these different things. It's like throws that I like. When we were talking about Caleb Williams on Monday, where the Komet throw, which was a completion, but Komet got hurt on it. I was like, God, that's a complete miss. And then second of the 3 rollout hits Loveland to the left side. And you're like, this is like 2 completely different people, back-to-back snaps, considering how annoying the first throw was and how impressive physically the second throw was. So, those are just little things that I would do. But I would tell you, like, I think it's great that you're that into it and you want to do it. But if you're not getting paid for it, I just wonder how long you're going to want to do that.
Do you have different pads for different sports, or you just fill her up and start a new one?
No, I mean, there's just pads everywhere. I mean, it's just
Well, that's what the second part of the question was like.
Mom spaghetti, dude. Hell yeah.
yeah, big time.
Is there like a
And then
2022 like binder somewhere of your notes in a bin somewhere? Like you don't throw these out, or are they gone after a season?
It's a great question, Cerruti. I have gone through, like, whenever I move, and I've moved so much now. So since, what is it, 17, 18? Yeah, it was technically like 18. I moved in 18, I moved in 20, and I moved in 23. So there was a lot of notepads. And when you're moving is when you start chucking stuff, because you get so annoyed with yourself. You're like, I didn't need these sneakers. Why do I have this suit from John Varvatos? Like, who the fuck are you? You going to some premiere?
I
Like,
bought
when were you gonna...
a pair of sneakers off TikTok about a year ago.
Whoa, dude.
It was the
You
single.
didn't have to say that.
Yeah, I mean, we're it's just a trust tree. We're sharing.
It's what we do.
Yeah, you're right.
And I wore them one time. Like, these look stupid, and they just sit in my closet for a year straight. Brand new.
Were they like smart casual shoes, or were they like?
They look way cooler in the picture. Like shock.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. And they were like $20 too. I'm like, what's the big deal?
Can't afford not
and
to. Yeah,
you get them, and it's like, yeah, this is why. So I got duped by China and TikTok. Sorry.
And nothing against Johnny V, but I don't know what I was thinking that day. I was in Soho for a few days, and I was like, you know what, I'll get a kind of like a different look here. And I bought the suit, the whole thing, and I was looking at it the other day. It was like, you've worn it 0 times, and you will never wear this. And I'm like, who did you think you were that day? Who did you think you were? This is an outrageous purchase. And so think of that, but they're notepads, and they're just, every now and then there'll be a note that I'm desperately trying to find, like this book that I've been writing, but I haven't really liked it. I didn't think it was good enough, so the whole project is stalled. And I went through, I had this perfect description of how I was trying to like relay this point, and I think I had to search through like 40 notepads, page by page by page, because I wrote this whole thing down that it popped in
Jesus
my head, and I
Christ.
like this whole pair, and I was like, I have to find it, I have to find it. It's like the Seinfeld thing, although he's more successful. I just was like, I can't find it, and then when I found it, man, holy shit! I think I might have gone out that night. I was so excited just to celebrate. Like, what do you got going on? New job? Be like, no, I found this paragraph that really put this point together in succinct fashion. Couldn't say that word right there.
Really puts the
So
iPad guys ahead of the game when you can just keyword search for something like that.
yeah, I guess I could do with that. I just there's probably no. It's too
No,
late
you've been
for
doing
me.
it. Yeah, you've been doing
Yeah,
it this way for too long.
yeah,
I'm
it's
a
too
pen and
late.
paper guy too.
But there was like a general Russillo database that I wanted to keep going through Word documents where there was these things that I was always coming back to, whether it was like the quarterback bust rate thing that people have only heard that segment 700 times from me. There was a time when I used to get really mad at Cowherd for calling Aaron Rodgers essentially a loser because he'd had all those one score losses. And then I decided just one day I was so annoyed by Cowherd's segment that I went through all of this was like the first 17 one score losses and how bad his record was. And I went through the 17 games and how many times he actually got you the go ahead touchdown. And then the defense let you down, or the other team kicked the game winning field goal and he never got the ball back. Like, it was so clear that it wasn't on Aaron Rodgers, but it looked really bad. So I always felt like there were these talking points that anyone on the air should have memorized. So I used to have this like database that I would go back to and be like, nope, that's wrong because of this or this, or like the Favre. I'm talking Packers QBs here, but whenever I would say, hey, look, Favre was super annoying at the end, and he would say he was going to retire, and then the Packers were just over it. And then the line that I was told is that the Packers wanted their franchise back. And that's why the Favre exit was pretty understandably like narcissistic, because he's like, I'm fucking Brett Favre. But it had gone on for years and years and years. And then it was just sort of funny how people argued that years later. Like, they just didn't remember the timeline of all these things. So I would keep these quotes and like I'd have it at the ready whenever we were doing. And I don't know. I think once I got locked out of ESPN's thing, like the Russillo database no longer exists. So I've talked about updating that. I've
Maybe you
talked
could
about it with
legacy
myself.
box this shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that would do. That
Would
would
you
be
legacy
quite the
box
book.
it? Just send it all away and just get
Imagine
it digitized and just
a publisher going like, do you think that would think we could move any units of that?
The Russillo book.
Segment structures. It's not even structured. It would just be like, hey, I keep coming back to these things time and time again. So let's just all have them like in a centralized database so I can pull it up whenever I need to. And you also start realizing too, when you talk for a living and do this, it's like, hey, why don't you just make a point and then hammer it, and then don't worry about it. Cerruti's bored by this already. So let's take a quick break. It's official. The Big Shack is out now. I tried one a few days ago and it lives up to the name. It's a serious burger. 2 Angus beef patties, 3 buns, new secret sauce. It's stacked, balanced, and built the right way. You get everything you expect from Shake Shack. Fresh ingredients, that toasted potato bun, and sauce that pulls the whole thing together. For $9.99, it's kind of wild how much burger you're getting, especially one that doesn't taste like typical fast food. It's big, it's fresh, and it's legit one of their best burgers ever. It is the best burger in the business. I felt that way before we were doing anything with Shake Shack. I look at it as something I get to reward myself with. That's kind of how I look at it. Remember Peggy and Mad Men when she talked about breaking the popsicle in half and she was like, it's a ritual. That's what Shake Shack is for me. It's a ritual. I walk in that place like a cowboy, a desperado, looking to settle a score. And I'm looking to settle a score with hunger. That's how I think about Shake Shack. And that's what it means to me. If you've been waiting to see what all the hype's about, today's the day. Go to Shake Shack and order the Big Shack. Sounds familiar? Made different. These are quicker, so why don't we bang these out? I love this one. All right, movie theater etiquette. Did I go too far? Good day, sirs. 31, 6'1".
you got to
210.
ask. Maybe you did. That's all I'll say.
Bench 225. Basketball comp is a kind and passive Draymond Green. What does
That's
that
funny.
mean?
I don't know, but it's funny.
Utility player, I guess. Yeah, who's a good teammate.
ESPN.com earlier this week, it was like first story was in NFL trade deadline thing, like Sauce Gardner, Quinn Williams. Second story was Draymond Green calls Dak a bum. was the second thing. Anyway, here's
Nothing's
the
more
deal.
ESPN than that.
Yeah, over the last couple of years, I've developed the habit of going to the movies once a month, often on my own. I told my buddy
Nice.
that. He says it's weird.
Nope.
No, it isn't.
It's the least weird thing you could do, dude. Keep doing you.
Yeah. Tell him not to be so dependent upon society. Walk into the woods
Go your own way, man.
and bring some water. I think it's weird. He thinks it's weird. We agree with you. I'm going there to watch a movie, not socialize. Anyway, I walked over to my local theater to see the new PTA movie, One Battle After Another.
Hell yeah.
You saw it, Kyle?
Loved it. 70 millimeter IMAX. God damn. Still thinking about it.
The road scene.
The road scene.
They
Didn't
must
even
have
need to
known.
say anything else.
I know. They must have been like, hey, whatever we're doing with this movie, let's just have a killer road scene that in theater you have to see. So, Rudy, have you
That's
seen it?
Rudy.
I have not. I was supposed to see it a couple weeks ago.
Heard you
with the
compromised
wife,
on it. Yeah.
and we compromised and saw a different movie.
Sick.
We saw. I don't even remember what it was called. It wasn't bad. It was the one with Keanu Reeves. It's like an angel, as he's
That
on
sounds
Sorry's
really
in
good.
it. It was kind of funny. I don't know. It was actually Keanu Reeves is very good in it. I don't even know. I got to figure out what the name of this movie is. But no, I will see it. Hopefully, it's still in theaters. I'll see it at some
That'll
point.
be on HBO in like 3 months. You'll be fine.
That's also true. Yeah,
No road scene in that one.
but I won't
though,
get.
huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say I won't get the good road scene.
Such a good road scene. All right.
What are we doing?
I'm trying to look up this movie. Hold on. Keep going.
Yeah, no, let us know. I might want to check it out. It was fine. I sat in the back row, smack dab in the middle. It's usually a poorly populated theater, so by the time the film started, there were maybe 10 people watching. About 30 minutes into the movie, two teenagers, 15-ish, walk up the stairs to the back row and sit in the two seats right in the corner. No big deal. Immediately, I see one instance of flash photography. Odd, I think. Maybe it was a mistake, but there continues to be a lot of talking coming from them and another two instances of flash photography. At this point, I'm looking over at them. They're huddled over their phones, laughing and talking, oblivious to the world. Obviously, that movie etiquette is atrocious, but here's where I'd like some judgment. After enduring 15 minutes of this, I weighed in on calling out to them or getting a staff member or loudly shushing. But I thought it'd be funny if I just moseyed over to them and plopped down right beside them. So that's what I did.
Hell yeah.
Didn't say anything when I got there, just looked them both in the eyes and sat down beside them. Sat there for a good 10 minutes watching the movie. Eventually, I looked at them both and said, just keep it down, eh? Canadian. That's his call. Then walked back over to my seat. They left the theater a few minutes later. Now, no matter your verdict, I'm still going to think that was hilarious. But did I go too far? Is this a story I keep to myself or share when it pops in my head? Cheers.
No, that's awesome.
This would have been like the third thing we came up with and all agreed that it was the best thing. So I'd say, hell yeah, man. Way to make your day. You're already like going to the theater by yourself. Like you're like building a case for like most interesting man in your town. Hell yeah, dude.
I don't know that I would have even thought of that. That's pretty incredible. I mean, because the easy thing to do is just tell them to shut up or shush, and that's kind of what they want, though, right? Because they don't.
Yeah,
really
now
care.
you're
They're not
now you're
ashamed.
opening the Pandora's box of teenagers. 15. I mean, they're fucking wild cards, man.
But like, how do you make them uncomfortable? You did it. Congrats.
fucking nailed it. And it sounds like they certainly didn't buy tickets for that movie if they're going in there not caring and then leaving right after. Like they probably just walked in and you're like, you're the new sheriff in town. You just like awkwarded them into like finding something else more fun than disrupting your movie. So I don't know. I think you're a genius.
No notes. I have nothing for you other than praise.
Nope.
I think
That reminds me of like Ryan's noodle thing. Remember it was like a hot tub or something. You were like just poking with the noodle. Like just you have to like out strange them. And it's just like they don't know what the hell they're looking at. And I feel like that was, and I always remember that one because I was like, I never thought of it, but when you're dealing with teenagers, I think you have to like throw them off kilter. They like want you to be upset because they can do upset better than you. Like, so that was
Yeah.
really, really genius.
Well, yeah, it should also be said you could just yell "Shut up, virgin," and then see how they react to that as well. The go-to
not very
playbook.
Canadian.
No, shut up, virgin. Yeah.
Yeah, I always feel like, well, I don't know. I don't deal with a ton of teenagers, but when they're ever trying to step it up to like make you feel uncomfortable, because they just don't have any concept that we already know every move. Like when that's the thing about being a teenager, you think everybody's so stupid, and it's like actually everybody knows everything you're trying to do because they've already done it. And like when you can out weird them, like it freaks them out. I mean, it's like using their powers against them, and they tap out pretty quick.
Right, but if you
Beach, there's a Manhattan Beach crew I'm like afraid of. I don't know if they're the coin boys, but it's like 12 to 14. You see like
quicker on their feet than
those 4 of those guys coming, I like cross the street.
Nah, yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, because if you're not getting into that weird mode, it's just like anything that you do, they're like, oh, look at this fucking idiot. And now that there's 4 of them, it multiplies. It's like, damn,
they feed off each other.
I know that they're wrong, but I mean, the majority says they're right. So because there's 4 of them and there's 1 of me.
Because it doesn't even matter. Like you just be like, sweet pants, loser, and you're like, they're pants. All they are is pants.
These are Lululemon, dude.
Right. What did he say? So yeah, I don't.
Aren't those for girls?
I'm just trying to get a smoothie. Then it's like I can't. 16, you can start saying like, 12 to 14. I can't. That's a level I can't conquer. Yeah, all right. I think that'll do it for us. There's a couple other here. Somebody else followed up with a marathon thing, but I'm going to save this for a little bit later.
We're marathoned out. Yeah.
Are you? All right. Maybe that'll be a rule. He actually included an old NBA Today trade that you really like, or trades that suck that deep down you really like. I forget what the title of it was. He sent in the trade that he had sent in to us over, I don't know. That was like 15 years ago we were doing that pod. Maybe longer, 17 years ago, I think one season when I did it. $75 an episode.
Crazy when you say it out loud.
That was after I got $0 an episode. That was the first year this is a great opportunity for you next year. And then it was like, so what are we doing this year? And like, we're giving you
making it to next year.
We're giving you a raise from $0 to $75. We're like, holy shit. And I get to talk about my favorite sport. Thanks.
More money for notepads.
Yeah, tons. I mean, that was big time. Although if you think I wasn't coming home with a few extra legal pads after making $0 an episode.
We're writing a little smaller in those days.
What's your pen situation? Are you like
that's a good question.
A Bic gel pen? I feel like that's got to be it.
Heavy duty.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's not really. That doesn't look like a gel pen though. That looks like more like.
That looks like if you left that somewhere, you might like go back for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the great thing is that it's a nice pen. It's heavy and it costs like $40. So it makes me keep track of it way more than just whatever. But we've got a whole box of Bics down here ready to go at the ready if you need it. I don't like a medium. I need a fine point. I don't like the medium one. I don't like the chunky ink thing where the lines are thicker and then all of a sudden there's ink everywhere. I won't buy a white couch because of the pens. So that's another thing that I had to learn. Even leather, it's going to be a little bit darker because there's just going to be pen lines all over the place. So, if you're out there, if you're one of the note takers, just think about that next time you're looking at the restoration. Yeah.
Take some notes.
When your wife wants to wash Belgian linen white finish restoration hardware cloud, you're going to go, hey, I'm taking notes. You're going to go cream or darker.
I'm taking notes. Hell yeah.
And to the movie theater people out there, and hopefully by the way, if you do want to hit us up for our NBA good 10 minutes, our NBA mailbag, it's NBA mailbag rr@gmail.com. Different than life advice rr@gmail.com. But Suri has not seen the new PTA movie. He's not seen the road scene. And to quote my roommate from college, when we came back after Jurassic Park came out that summer, he was like, you didn't see Jurassic Park at the theater? Honestly, biggest mistake of your life. Chris McGurk. The Ryen Russillo Show.
By the way, really quick, the movie was Good Fortune that I saw. Not bad, but I do wish. And I also got an attempted pickpocket that day, so it was a tough day for your boy overall.
You haven't told a story about somebody. You only told me that.
I think so. I mean, I've told other people, but I don't think I told it on the pod. Yeah, some guy tried to steal my wallet in the bathroom after the movie. It was crazy.
In the bathroom?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's kind of insane.
Yeah, so I'm walking in and...
Let's not save it.
All right. Well, next pod. You want to save
it's
for next pod?
yeah, that's a good tease. That's a good tease.
All right.
Coming up next.
Close encounter in the bathroom.
It was.
And what that means for the Cowboys defense. Get up. All right. Thanks to Cerruti. Thanks to Kyle. Thanks to everybody here. The Ryen Russillo Show, part of the Barstool Network.